I have been waiting for this live chat all day long because, as you guys know, just from my videos, and if you follow me on Twitter, you know just how obsessed that I have been with this show. Of course, we got some really sad news last week. All of us know by now that the show has been canceled, and it has really affected me. And you guys know I watch a variety of shows, and I feel very passionate about some of them, but this show is just something about it really gets to me. I love it so much. And as I've said before, I'm not sponsored in any way, but I just feel so passionate about the show. I love it so much. So literally, someone texted or tweeted me and told me that it was canceled. And then I started seeing it on my Twitter feed last week, and I think that was Thursday, and that was just really terrible news. It was something that I kind of worried about only because the show was new and it was in a really hard time slot. It was up against Game of Thrones. It was on the exact same time as Game of Thrones, and you guys know just how popular Game of Thrones is, but it's so excellent. I just think that a lot of people didn't see it or never gave it a chance, but now I'm focusing on getting it renewed by someone else, getting it picked up or maybe picked up again by ABC, because that could happen. But we can talk about that in just a little bit. I want to focus now on what happened in last night's episode. And completely honest here, I felt like it was one of the best finales I've ever seen of any show that I watch currently or shows that I've watched in the past that are no longer on. I just want to thank you guys so much for all your support. I have been tweeting out like nonstop the petition, which now has over 8,000 signatures. That information is down below if you haven't signed it yet. And anyone across the world can sign it. And, you know, I don't know exactly what this petition can do, but to get the word out, to let people know that this many people care about that show, I think that speaks volumes. People with the show have been retweeting the information for the petition. I did not start the petition, but I'm so glad that someone did. And there are a couple of others that have been started, but I think it's good if we stick to this one petition that has over 8,000 signatures so that we don't have like a lot of other ones that are taking away from that one. People may think they're signing the main one and they're signing like a new one with like 100 signatures. So I think it's good to stick with this one that has over 8,000, the one that I keep tweeting out. But I have received so many tweets and retweets, and I've talked to people that have never even like seen my videos about the show. There are so many fans out there, and I just think it's so important to make our voices heard and let the other networks know that we love this show, that we're going to watch this show and support it if they do pick it up for a second season. So I'm going to go say hey to you guys now, because I know I've been talking quite a lot, and I know several of you have been in the room for a while today. So I just want to shout out to Vanessa and Mark and Tony and Samar and Taro, and I think I saw someone else, Daniel. And if you're here and if you want to say hey, I will say hey to you back. I'm so happy that we all are here and we can talk about this amazing show with pretty much every episode. To me, I thought was excellent. I didn't feel like there was a lot of slow moments or filler episodes, and every single episode had some type of reveal that was interesting. But there were two huge reveals. I mean, huge reveals in last night's finale. And to be honest, at first I started to think as we were going through the episode that if they just decided to accept Ben and you know, the issues that Doug was having, if he was going to go to jail or whatever, I was kind of worried about it. And I was almost going to say, well, if that's how it ended with them deciding to accept Ben and Doug goes to jail, I don't really see where it was going to go for a second season. And I was thinking, you know, maybe it's kind of a good idea that it's not going to be back, because I don't see where we can go from here. But no, that is not what happened at all. We waited to the last couple of minutes, and it was so worth our wait to get some super huge reveals. The first one, I really don't think anybody could have predicted. I never thought about it. I never saw anyone talk about it or predict this crazy thing that happened, and that was either that Willa killed Bridie or she had her killed. Of course, she knows about it. She's a part in her murder. Let me know if you guys can still see me, because my screen is spinning and I'm kind of frozen. So, and I'm not seeing any comments. So I don't know if you still can see me. Hopefully you can. But anyway, that was just crazy, 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 crazy to me. What did you guys think about that? Like, I was freaking out. I was like yelling at my TV. I was tweeting that I was freaking out because I never had any clue that that was going to happen. Okay, I'm glad you guys can see me and still hear me and we're still going. We always have some kind of technical difficulties. Anyway, hey Mark and hey Kathleen, thank you for being here. Okay, so then now I had read the article. Several people had tweeted me an article a few weeks ago from Jenna Bans, who's like the creator of the family. And she told someone in an interview that Adam was for sure dead. Now, a lot of people asked me throughout the past few weeks, do I think that Adam is alive? And I had always hoped that he was. But after that interview, I was like, no, because I don't think this is like Pretty Little Liars where the people who create the show will flat out lie and then something else happens. Now, some of you have asked me what I thought about the fact that he is actually alive. First, I think it's amazing. However, I'm not really that upset with the fact that we thought that he was dead or that she may have said that he was dead. I'm not really sure what she said. Sometimes articles can get misinterpreted because she didn't actually tweet it out where I can see it. You know, you could do an interview with someone and then they quote you in a way that's not exactly what you said. So I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt because what happened with that reveal and where that story went was so phenomenal. And I'm so happy that he is alive. And I love the ending. Like, I just don't think they could have had a more perfect ending for the show, but just for that season. Like, I don't want the show to end there because obviously that's not a good series finale because they never planned on it to be. So I'm going to go to some of your comments because I'm just so excited that I just keep talking about what I felt, but I want to know what you guys feel about the fact that Adam is actually alive. What do you think about Bridie being murdered? Doug being shot? Who do you think did that? I also want to say one more thing before I read your comments, that there is an article, I can't remember who wrote it, I've tweeted it out, but I started to read it and I stopped because Jenna did do an interview with someone after finding out they were canceled, and she said what would have happened in season 2. I stopped reading it because there are spoilers in there, and if they do get picked up, I don't want to know what happens. So I just want to warn you, if you see that article floating around, if you haven't read it yet, if you are hoping there'll be a second season and don't want to be spoiled, I wouldn't read it right now, maybe in a couple of months or a few months from now, because it started to get very specific about things that were going to happen, and it explained some things that happened in the finale that I'm not going to say just because I don't want to spoil it. And I'm hoping that when it comes back, I don't want to know what's going to happen. So Brittany, thank you for being here. Vanessa says, when Claire and Willa saw Ben after he's trying to get a ride, I thought that it was a bad idea. Then there's a huge game changer. I also started to feel really bad because I've been saying that Ben was a massive villain for the past few weeks. I didn't feel sad for him at all. But then, you know, from the beginning of last night's episode, I saw him down there in that hole in the ground. I saw he was being abused. And then I felt like that he, you know, I felt that Doug killed Adam and that he felt like he should take responsibility for it because he didn't go along with the plan. He didn't try to fight back against Doug. He got too scared. And I was like, you know, I feel really bad for this kid. And I've said some terrible things about him, even though it's a fictional character. I've really bashed him on my channel. And TV Line, thank you. TV Line is the place where you can find that spoiler article. But it really, I was like, oh my God, like I feel stupid because he's going to be like this victim. But as we know, he's not a victim. And I feel like he has some kind of deal with Doug because obviously Ben knows that Adam's still alive. Doug knows that Adam's still alive because he was keeping him in a different location. So I don't really know what his deal is. I don't really think that Doug is his dad anymore, but what do you guys think about that? Okay, like I promised, I'm going to get to the comments. So Mark says, doesn't mind that Jenna said Adam was dead. She was doing it for a greater good because the reveal was actually satisfying. It wasn't cheap like Marlene King. I completely agree. And if, you know, she was asked that flat out, is there a chance that Adam is alive? If she said yes, then it would totally ruin last night's finale if she gave us any kind of hope, because I literally had zero hopes that he was alive. I wasn't expecting it at all. And I thought the big twist of this season of that episode was going to be Bridie being murdered. So then when we saw Adam, that was epic for me and it made it so worth it. And I'm not at all upset with her, as Mark is saying, because she did it so that, you know, it wouldn't be leaked out or people wouldn't have hopes, and then it would really destroy their finale. Vanessa wishes last night's episode was 2 hours. I think had they known they would be canceled, they definitely would have made a longer episode, or they would have, you know, for sure tied up all the loose ends and finished out the story if they thought there was no hopes of getting picked back up. So Taro says, when I saw the scar on the head, started screaming. I thought the same thing. That was our clue that it was Adam because we know that he was beaten badly in the head by Doug. So his hair is not going to grow back completely. He had that big scar. And that was our indication, even though they weren't showing his face. And I love the way they shot that. We knew then that that was Adam. I love the phone call that he had with Ben. Love the fact that everyone was too busy, so Ben had to pick up the phone, and love what he said about how he was coming to get his life back. Everything about last night's episode was perfect. So Brittany says there aren't spoilers in the article. It just says when things would have happened. Well, you just mentioned one of the things that they didn't explain in last night's episode, so I'm just going to skip over that. But yeah, I mean, I stopped reading it after they explained something that happened that was not explained in last night's episode. So I don't know if people still want to know exactly how something played out. I don't know. I just stopped reading it just because I was afraid they were going to really be specific about next season. And if it got picked up, then I would know some things. So Brittany says there's still a connection with Doug and Ben. Absolutely. But Brittany's saying don't think that Doug is his dad, but you never know. I don't know what it is, and that's something that if we don't ever see the show again, we will never know. But they definitely had some kind of deal going on. I don't know if they were trying to like extort money from the Warrens, if the plan was to get a bunch of money or to get Ben in their will or something crazy. I don't know if I really don't understand, or maybe I don't think I can figure out exactly where that's going. We don't have enough information yet. Vanessa wants to know, what do I think happened to Danny when he left the bar? I don't know that either. And I mean, there's just all these little things that, and some big things that, they were setting up for us for season 2. And I'm so hoping that that those questions will get to be answered. So Taro thought that the twist was going to be Ben's mom showing up to the house, but was pleasantly wrong. Now that is really good. I like that. I actually really like that idea, because maybe Bridie said, she maybe went back. Obviously this didn't happen, but maybe she went back and she said, look, I found your son. He's living with these people. You should go meet up with him. I think that's great. So Brittany says the scene where we found out about Bridie was perfect. Absolutely perfect. Absolutely. We didn't see that coming at all. The way they shot that with Willa standing there and seeing those flashbacks of the ditch where she left or someone left Bridie's body. Again, we don't know. I can't say for sure that Bridie was murdered by Willa, but she obviously either paid someone, helped someone. I don't know. It would be interesting to find out. So Ricky wants to know if Bridie quit her job. She did quit her job. And the reason why is because she went to Willa and she said, I'm going to come out with this story. Do you have a comment? And she was going to give her a chance to, have a quote in the story, but instead she was like, if you don't run the story, I will give you, exclusive information about her mother. Like when she's the governor, she would be like the person who can break all the big political stories and have a chance to have a better career for herself than just having this one scandalous story. So of course, all of that was a lie, and she planned on killing her. So Kathleen wants to know what the heck is the connection between Adam and Jane. What I think is going on there is that one time when she was going to visit the detective, she heard someone like tapping on another, shed, because you kind of saw that scene where she heard someone like tapping. And I think unless I'm wrong, and I could be, I think that she didn't have any clue that Adam was out there, because they didn't live out there. They had just moved out there to get away from the police. But he'd been keeping him out there since his head injury, to keep him away, I guess, from scheming with Ben. So I don't really think she's been in on it the whole time. I just think she just now realized that he was there. What do you guys think about that? Ricky's so glad Adam is alive. So does that mean Jane hid Adam the whole time? Again, that's kind of what we're talking about. I think that, no, I think she just discovered it, but I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. So the body they found is apparently a kid who was reported missing before Adam. So he's would be older than Adam. I don't know if that's going to be significant, but I really thought it was Adam. That was another great twist. I was like, oh my God, he buried Adam in his own yard. But it's so creepy to me that he buried a missing. I mean, I don't know what happened. I don't know if he's the murdering type, but he has a dead body of a missing kid in his yard. So wow, his future obviously is not looking good. He has been shot, not fatally. He's shot in the groin. But the thing about it is that if we have a second season, he's going to jail. They have very incriminating evidence against him, because the body is in his yard of somebody else. Even though I was a little bit worried because the detective said, he couldn't identify him because he'd never actually seen him. Hi, Esther. Thank you so much for being here. Vanessa thinks it was the kid that Jane mentioned. Very good. Yes, I hadn't even thought about that. We knew there was a kid kind of before because she wasn't aware that he was keeping the two new boys and buying like the extra box of cereal for them. So Ricky says if she quit, if she quit, she wouldn't have that opportunity as a journalist, right? She would be like a freelance person. She could work for herself or find someone else to hire her that maybe would give her more money. So she definitely still wanted to be a journalist, but she wanted to be like a political journalist, and she would have like the inside scoop on everything going on in the state because because Willow promised to give her like information that no one else had. Of course, all that was a lie, but that's why she quit her job. She thought she was going to be able to do so much more with her career and get like a big break. Esther feels bad for Ben. To be honest, I don't, because I feel like he's definitely involved somehow. He knew Adam was alive. It wasn't shocking to him when Adam called him. He wasn't like, oh my God, you're alive or anything like that. He's trying to steal his life, as Adam said. So I don't know how to feel bad for him, because obviously he has a somewhat good relationship with Doug, as we've seen in the past couple of episodes. They have some kind of deal going on or something, or he could be in his family. I don't know. Don't think so, because he made the mentioned that he had been in an arcade and was picked up, unless that was a lie. So Taro thinks that Jane didn't know. That's what I think. Do I think that, I'm trying to get to all your comments. I'm really trying, so I'm sorry. I'm scrolling through trying to get to everyone. Do I think that Willow killed Bridie? I think it's a very good chance, but they left it open to maybe Danny helped her. Who knows? I don't know exactly. I can't say for sure. So Ricky says that Jane seemed like she knew Ben very well, but Ben seems determined not to let that happen for Adam to come back. Really? Do you think Jane knows Ben? I feel like she didn't know either of those boys, because she seemed surprised and kind of made the connection when she found out that he was, she was like, that's why you were buying an extra box of Cheerios. Bridie is dead. She was in a ditch. Bridie, the reporter, the girl. So Mark was literally cheering when Doug was shot. Just wish that Nina was the one to shoot him. Yes, I was so happy. I was hoping that would happen. I had a good idea that something bad would happen to him, which is wonderful. Vanessa is just so glad that Clements made it out alive. I'm so glad, and I love the way that he made that call that they forced him to make, saying to his husband that, he was fine, he was taking a break, but he kept saying that, or he said he was laying low, which was a clue that he was underground. Nina picked up on it, which was really awesome. She's a great detective, and I also love her character. Okay, hold on just a second here. We have a troll in the room I need to remove. Oh, right. So Taro says, what I thought was going to happen was Hank being the new bad guy and taking a kid and hiding him in his own bunker, and it starts all over again. But we do need to talk about Hank, because we see that he is going back to his old ways. We know from last week's episode that he stopped his treatments on the road to being a eunuch, and he's trolling for kids in this episode. He comes really close to doing something he shouldn't be doing. He gave that kid a ride. I mean, the kid did ask, but he knew he shouldn't be doing that. He kept his scarf. It was really creepy. When he was putting that scarf in the box, I thought for a second that there was going to be something that really tied him to Adam, and maybe he was involved with the stuff that went on with Adam, but I don't think so at this point. But I thought maybe that was going to be the way they twisted it. Ricky says Hank's moment with that kid was cray-cray. Absolutely. I was very scared that he was going to do something really terrible, and I'm glad that they didn't go there. But it seems like if we do have a second season, he's going to be back to the old crap again, to be honest. Esther thought that Ben didn't know Adam is alive. So what do you guys think about that? Now, Ben first told us a different story, and he said that, Adam had the chills and everything and had to be taken away. But I just don't know if that's true, because then we see this fight that he got into with Doug with the big head injury. I feel like that was at the point that he was taken away. So I don't know what to think about that, but I want to ask you guys what you think. Do you think that Ben has known the entire time that Adam is alive, or do you think that phone call was the first time he realized he was alive? So, okay, so we saw Adam with the shotgun. Well, okay, I'm hoping that I'm not spoiling anything for you guys, but Jenna did say that Adam was the one who shot Doug, which is awesome. And I kind of had that thought, even though I didn't feel like it was really explained in the episode, but maybe I just kind of missed that. Ricky says, when she said to him, get your stuff, come on, we don't have time, they seemed familiar, like they knew each other. Okay, so I think you're talking about Jane and Adam, not Ben, right? Because I don't remember seeing her with Ben in a scene. I'm with you on that. I felt like, yeah, there was something kind of weird about that too. I, at first, wasn't sure who Adam was, who this guy was, and I was like, is this just someone, is this like a boyfriend of hers? It did seem familiar, you know? I want to know what you think about that too. What did Hank do with that kid's bike? I don't know. So Brittany thinks that Ben thought that Adam was dead. I mean, I felt like Ben knew that Adam was alive, but I don't understand what his thing is with Doug. That's what I don't know. Elias thinks Ben is shocked. Tayro thinks Ben is shocked. So you guys think, most of you think that he had no clue that Adam was alive. So I'm just trying to figure out why he has these meetings with Doug and what is up with that. But of course, there's a very good chance that he had no idea. I mean, especially if he was removed from that bunker after the massive head injury, that looked really bad. And I would probably think that if I was down there with someone and they had that kind of head injury and they never came back and the guy said, hey, he died, I would believe that, you know. Elias was asking me my thoughts on Ben. I still think he's shady. I don't know what's going on. He has some kind of connection with Doug or some kind of agreement with him, and I don't know what that is. I think that would definitely have been revealed in season 2. So Kathleen thinks that maybe Ben did think Adam was dead. Then Doug took Adam away and separated them and told Ben that Adam died. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I know. But I guess that last night I kind of felt like, well, maybe that's the agreement that he had with Doug. Maybe, you know, he also knew that he was alive. I don't know. Okay, so Ricky says Jane and Adam, right, when they were at the gas station. What do you guys think about that? Do you think that Jane and Adam had spoken or had something, you know, knew about each other before recently? I don't know. Tell me what you think about that. So Kathleen thinks it was more like Stockholm Syndrome where Ben came to depend on Doug. So I don't know. And this is another thing that I can't figure out, as Mark is asking, what were Ben and Doug talking about in episode 10? They've had 2 meetups this season that don't make sense to me. I mean, we have that meetup where he came to the Warrens' house and Ben never told anyone and acted totally normal when they came back. And then we had them meeting up at the park where they honestly seemed like friends. I'm sorry. I don't buy that he was scared or intimidated. That was even weirder. He did look scared when, you know, Doug came to his room. But when they were at the park, they seemed to have some sort of agreement. I just refuse to believe still. I was almost going to buy that Ben was a victim and that he felt responsible for Adam's death because he didn't stand up for him and didn't fight back. But why wouldn't he have told them that story? He never told the Warrens that story. He could have told them that story, and I don't think they would have felt so, you know, angry with him. He said that he hurt Ben. I mean, he said that he hurt Adam. How did he hurt Adam? Because we didn't see that in the flashbacks. But if he had just been like, you know what? We had this plan to fight back against Doug, and Doug came down there and Adam started doing it, and then he hit him really hard. And I was scared and I couldn't fight back and I feel responsible. And at that point he had that head injury and he went away and I was told he was dead and I feel responsible. So I feel like something's missing here, and I just cannot, as much as many of you want to be sorry for Ben and think he's 100% a victim, I think he's partially a victim, but not 100%. Adam sounded angry with Ben. Exactly. There's some sort of issue there, okay? Because, yeah, I mean, I think if I were Adam, so we had this plan to fight against our captor and the other kid got scared, I think I would get over it. There's something more there. Adam sounded furious, okay? He sounded angry, all right? The moment with young Adam and Claire was so emotional, says Vanessa. I absolutely agree with you, and I love the way that was shot as well, where she thought she saw him and he was talking to her, and I love that so much, where she went down there where he had been kept. Okay, so many questions, says Kathleen. I know, and that's sad because we don't know if we'll get the answers. Ricky says it was a great finale. The dad still doesn't know, but Doug blamed Ben for hitting his head. He said it was his fault. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Danny seemed really messed up, more messed up than I thought about the news that Ben wasn't Adam. What do I think about the possibility of Danny killing Bridie? Asked Brittany. I think that's a good one. Absolutely. I think that Danny disliked Bridie more than Willa did. So I think that since they left it open and didn't show flashbacks of Willa killing Bridie, I think either Danny and Bridie did it together or Danny did it himself for her and she somehow helped or, she saw. I don't know. Ginger's wondering if you should still watch it even though it got canceled. Absolutely. It was so good. I would just know that you have to go into it knowing that you may never get answers, but it was so, so, so good. You've probably been spoiled a little bit by watching this about some of the things that have happened, but I loved it. And I think it was so excellent that even if we never see it again, it was worth watching if someone's never watched it. So Vanessa's wondering if maybe Adam was brainwashed. Elias says, do you think the writer saying Adam was dead for sure turned off viewers from watching? No, I don't think so. I think honestly they just didn't have that many viewers watching. I don't think that people started watching it and they started thinking like this show sucks or it's boring or whatever. I think people just weren't watching. It was a new show. I mean, it's difficult when a show is brand new to get popular quickly and to be super popular in the first season, especially if like the Shonda Rhimes shows seem to do really well, even if the ratings aren't that great. And we all knew the ratings were not that great. Yes, Ricky, the show's canceled, sadly. They announced it Thursday, so very sad. But what we're trying to do is get it picked up for a second season. There's a petition. That information's down below. That if you haven't signed, please sign it. I've been tweeting it out. If you can retweet my tweets, get your friends to sign it, even people who don't watch it, because maybe they will get into it. Every signature, helps us get noticed by other networks or helps the show. And I tweeted out a story that I found online yesterday that this is absolutely possible. This is not, wasting our time by getting this petition out and by signing it, because if you Google shows that have been canceled but were brought back, there are shows tons of different shows that were canceled and either picked up again by the same network or moved to another network because fans made their voices heard and they said, we love this show so much that someone decided to pick it up because they felt like they could get good ratings from it. So, and actually, I used to watch Friday Night Lights, but I started kind of watching it after it had been on, but it got canceled and it had been on for a really long time and the fans absolutely freaked out. And it got brought back. Same network, but let me tell you, this is absolutely possible. It is not a waste of anyone's time, but it's something that you have to keep tweeting about. We can't just tweet about it today because it's the day after the finale. Like, we have to keep trying to get the word out, like maybe once or twice a day if you think of it, or at least, something a week if you're really passionate about it, because it's obviously people are tweeting about it now because they just watched the finale. But if we all forget about it in a week, then it's going to make it look like it wasn't really that important to us. And the networks may think, well, people have quit talking about it. People have quit signing the petitions. I don't think we should go with this show. So Brittany says, Willow looked traumatized in the scene that was revealed Bridie was dead. Maybe she didn't kill her, but she found her. I just feel like if she didn't kill her and if she was shocked by her death, which I don't think is the case. I mean, as far as being shocked, I feel like she had to be a part of it somehow. But I don't know who else would have wanted to kill her besides Danny. Outside of that, I would be really shocked. I didn't know this, Vanessa, but apparently the Mindy Project was canceled on Fox, then Hulu picked it up. So is it completely off of Fox? Because I actually used to watch it on there, and I kind of forgot about it. Tony says it's possible because Castle fans wanted Beckett to live and the show to be canceled, and it happened. So, wow, that's kind of the reverse where the show was canceled because of fans. But yes, the Catch's ratings were not great, Tony, absolutely. But I think having Shonda's name behind the show speaks volumes. And to be completely honest, and I love Shonda and I love How to Get Away with Murder, but if Shonda had her name attached to this show, I don't think it would have been canceled, which kills me because it is so much like a show she would do. It is right up there with How to Get Away with Murder, and I don't watch her other shows, but the ones that are popular, but I'm sure Scandal and stuff, it's kind of along those same lines, and it's just as good with the crazy surprises and stuff, the shocking reveals. It kind of feels like a Shonda show. And I think if her name had been attached to it, more people would have watched it, Shonda says she loves this show, says Brittany, So it makes me sad that people didn't give it a chance. And I think that is the main reason that it's canceled. Because, you know, I've asked a lot of my friends if they watch it and they're like, no, what's it about, you know? And it's just because they just didn't know about it or didn't think about it, didn't think to watch it. Vanessa's talking about what happened to The Killing. That's a great example. But I will say that The Killing is a show that I watched for a couple of seasons. It actually wasn't anything like The Family because it wasn't very good. It started out okay. It was very disappointing with some of the reveals they had at the end of the couple seasons I watched. It just wasn't good, okay? And I don't even know if it had a lot of fan following, but Netflix picked it up. It was, I think, like a AMC show, maybe. I can't remember if it was AMC or FX, but it got picked up by Netflix. And honestly, I don't care who picks it up. Like, I don't care if it gets picked up. Ricky, the Family was canceled. Sorry, I saw your comment earlier, but forgot to tell you. So this show was canceled, sadly. We're trying to get it back renewed again. The Killing was really terrible in the second season. I can't remember how many shows were on before it went to Netflix. But in my opinion, even if they have to put it on YouTube and put it on, I mean, whatever they can do, Amazon Prime, whatever. I just want it to continue in some way. And if it does come back for a second season, that's going to be like so crucial that everyone supports it because sadly, it doesn't guarantee it'll be around for a third. But I think, you know, if we just get a second season, that would just make me so happy. I just hate it. I just hate it so much that it's canceled. And I don't know. I do know that the people involved with the show have been tweeting out that they do have hope that someone will pick it up. So again, I don't think that we're wasting our time talking about this or tweeting about it. Tony's asking how did Quantico survive, and I have no clue. And I did not watch the finale last night, but I've watched it up to the finale, and even the big reveal that they had last week I thought was pretty lame. And I'm going to be completely honest that I don't want to watch Quantico anymore. I'm not going to watch it. I am going to watch the finale because I've watched all of season 1, but I'm done because I just literally bored to death. I don't like it, and it got renewed, and I don't know. I don't understand. Vanessa says Supergirl was canceled by CBS and it was picked up by the CW. So yes, there's so much hope, I think, as long as we continue to say, you know, tweet or follow these people, follow the people with the show, retweet them if you don't want to write your own tweet. You know, just make sure that people know about this petition. You know, it's like 8,000 signatures right now, and I know that's not a ton, but we're building a lot each day. So I think it could definitely get to some crazy numbers. Yeah, we definitely have to promote it, like as Brittany is saying. If we have I don't think that people were very vocal at all. Just because I would look at Twitter, like, you know, when the show was on, and I would look to see who was live tweeting, and it wasn't that many people. And the cool thing was that the family was trending last night on Twitter, and it was the first time it had ever done that. And that is sad because it was like we had to wait until the end, until there was, you know, until it completely got canceled before people came out and they were like, you know, I love this show. And that is so sad. And that's something we kind of talked about in the last couple of live chats we've had here, that, you know, if we don't say something, if we don't like support it, like I was really worried because I wasn't seeing a lot of support for it. And sadly, that's what came true. So I put the petition, if you can look down into the information box, there's a link that you can click on, Rachel, for the petition. So hopefully you will get a chance to sign that. Now, I know Nashville was canceled, which to me was shocking, although I quit watching it, not because I disliked it, just because I kind of forgot about it. It wasn't a show that I was totally in love with. It's not the type of show I always watch, just because I usually like these crime shows, these investigative shows. But I know several people, or a lot of people, watched it still. So I don't know, maybe you guys watched it, maybe it started getting bad, because that does happen. I don't know. But when I stopped watching it, I liked it. It wasn't because I didn't like it. It's just like I don't always have time to watch every single show that I'm like kind of like. I didn't love it, I guess is the best way to say it, so I quit watching it. So let's go back because I missed some people here. So Mark is saying The Family is canceled, yet we get more seasons of Pretty Little Liars and Quantico. But the thing about it is, I understand PLL because the fan base for that show is huge. Even with all the crap that they have done with that show, they still have a crazy fan base and people who would just like tweet their brains out if they had to about that show. People, that show trends all the time. That show is so popular. It's huge in social media. That's why that keeps getting renewed, you know? Quantico, I don't really understand. Brittany says one of the reasons the family didn't have such high ratings because, yes, was exactly what I've been saying. It's on exactly the same time as Game of Thrones, which is like a killer because Game of Thrones and The Walking Dead are like two of the most popular shows on TV. You do not want to be up against them. So I have to question what ABC was thinking. I know obviously they have to put something in that time slot, but I feel like they kind of added to the fact that this show was never going to make it. Like it was doomed from the start because you put it in that bad time slot. Mark watched the important scenes from the Quantico finale and won't spoil it, but it was, he was laughing, you know, instead of crying. It was ridiculous. So apparently it sucked. I'm not surprised. Some people told me that Quantico last week was amazing with the reveal. And I was like, okay, I was kind of excited. And then I watched it and I was like, that was not good. That was not good. Okay. Brittany doesn't usually go on Twitter, but did last night because she knew that it mattered. And that's so great. Thank you for doing that. Yeah, ABC has canceled a lot of shows this year, Vanessa, and that's been like all over the news about that. I agree with Brittany. The ratings were low, and that's why. And they were. People didn't watch it. People didn't know about it. People didn't give it a chance or didn't even know that it existed. And I don't know what the ratings were exactly, but they weren't enough to keep it around. And you have to have the ratings to get in the advertisements. So if they can't sell the spots to people who, you know, have commercials on ABC, then they're not going to keep it. They're not going to keep a show that is not profiting, that they're not profiting from. So it makes sense, honestly. So Vanessa says the family should have been on during the fall. That way it wouldn't have had to compete. Yeah, I mean, there were so many things they could have done differently. They could have put it on during the week or Saturday or just anything. And they could have, if it became really popular, they could always decide to move it to Sunday night because, as I said, you know, it's a bad time slot, but really and truly it's a good time slot. It's like a coveted time slot. But Game of Thrones is killing it with that. I mean, I don't think any show wants to be on during that show because I don't really care how good you are, how popular you are, how long you've been on, you're still not going to be able to beat Game of Thrones, you know? So it's just sad. Surprisingly, the ratings were higher than 6B of PLL, says Mark. Well, that's interesting. I think the people with the family were tweeting last night that they had like really good ratings for last night's episode, which isn't a surprise. And I think the fact that it got canceled generated a lot of buzz. And I don't really understand someone watching the finale if they've never watched any of it just because they heard it was canceled. But maybe it just definitely brought out the fans and it brought out the support last night. So Brittany says if a show is too explicit or controversial, they might not have too many commercials like Scream Queens, which was not appropriate to have in normal commercials all over the network. And there was a little bit of talk about Scream Queens and about would it get renewed, but I think what really helped that is that the people who do the show, I'm like drawing a blank now, I shouldn't be, but you know, the guys behind, or the guy that's behind American Horror Story and Glee, why can't I think of his name? He is a big name behind that show, and his shows have a better chance than people's shows who aren't as big as those people. That's just Ryan Murphy. Thank you. So I think that's another reason. And then also I think Scream Queens appeals to that same demographic that PLL appeals to, and Scream Queens is very popular. So I'm not really worried about it about it getting canceled, but it's appealing to those people who are vocal, who are going to get on social media. And maybe the family was appealing to people who were not as into, expressing what they felt about it, I guess. So Vanessa's saying the Scream Queens Twitter account and probably on Facebook and everything, they said today that they are debuting the second season in the fall, but I was looking on the link that they've tweeted out. I did not see a specific air date, so if you guys see a premiere date, let me know, because I was kind of just skimming it. But yeah, so for you guys who watch Scream Queens, that's good news, I guess, although there had been some talk that it was coming back this summer. But for everyone who watches Scream on MTV, which is somewhat similar, but I think actually better, it's coming back super soon, May 30th, I think. So we'll have that soon. I'm really excited about that. So anyway, I guess we'll wrap things up here unless there's something we haven't talked about that you want to talk about. I will have my video on the finale up tomorrow. And for any of you who watch Orphan Black, I was out of town last weekend, but that video is also going to be up either tonight or tomorrow. So sorry about the delay on that. But I haven't watched the first 7 minutes of Scream because I was out of town and I just did not have the chance to do that. But I've got to do that because I've been busy today but I have to do it because you guys know I love it. And I was actually like thinking like, I've got to watch that. Like I have to, because I was even tweeting about it. But, okay, so Jillian says Scream Queens is going to come back around the time that the first one came out. I can't remember when that was, like September or something. But Brittany says the family is more for adults, I think, because of all the people that she knows who watches it, like mom and grandma and best friend. Also, I will agree with you because of the sensitive subject matter, because we're dealing with, gosh, what is it? Like pedophiles, people who are raping children, just terrible topics, which may not be, great for a younger audience. So I get that. So it didn't feel like 7 minutes. It felt short. Like I need to do that right now because I've actually forgotten about it and need to do it. Do I think the season 7 of Pretty Little Liars is going to be a lot better than season 6? Do I think Hannah will die? Ask Emmy. No, I don't think it'll be better, to be completely honest. And no, I don't think Hannah's going to die. I think they're trying to trick us, and that's a red herring. I have seen the promo for Pretty Little Liars, and I don't have a lot of hope at all for that show because I don't know. I felt like last season was really, really bad, and I don't know if they could ever redeem themselves. So Brittany says they're filming Scream Queens in the summer and airing it in the fall. Okay, that is so cool, and I'm excited because that show's fun to me. It's not like super serious. There were several people who watched it who told me like they didn't like it, like they like Scream on MTV because it was kind of silly, and but that's the whole point. It's kind of a satirical way to look at a horror show. It's not to be taken really seriously. It's funny, I think. Apparently, we're going to see the character Jenna in Pretty Little Liars as Vanessa, so that's interesting because she's been gone forever. I thought the PLL only had one more season, which was this one. I'm really hoping. I don't know how many more seasons I can deal with, even if I'm just watching them. But apparently the preview of Scream on MTV was amazing, says Mark. It was already better than the whole season. Really? It was already better than season 1? Okay, like I have to do that right now. Like I'm so excited. But I just wanted to thank you guys so much for, first of all, telling me to watch this show because I started it a little bit late. And I'm not sad at all that I did, even though we may never see it again. And I just thank you for all your support through all of season 1 of The Family. And this is the first show I've ever covered that I love that got canceled. So that's a new thing. But again, I just urge you guys, if you really love the show, to keep it relevant. Like if you're on Twitter or whatever social media you prefer that everyone can see. Like what I'm saying is if you talk about it on your Facebook page, the people really can't see it as much, So if you want, make like a public post and make hashtags or post about it on Instagram or whatever, or Snapchat or whatever. You just want to try to get the word out as much as we can. I think Twitter is probably the best way to do that, honestly, but also to get people to sign that petition and keep tweeting that out. And I just hope that one day one of you will tweet me or I'll look on Twitter and know that or hear that it's been renewed or picked up. So that is my hope. But again, if you're just now finding this video because you're a fan of The Family, I would love if you would subscribe to me. Of course, if it is picked up again, I will definitely be covering additional seasons, but I cover all kinds of other mystery shows. So maybe you watch some of the shows that I cover. So yeah, and you can always hashtag when you're tweeting about this show, you can hashtag Kelly TV. Thank you, Tony. And I'll retweet any tweet that you send with that hashtag. So, but I'm going to let you guys go for the night, and I hope you have a great week since it's Monday and the start of our week. And I hope to see you tomorrow with my new video. And I love you guys, and I hope to see you for Scream, which will be the next show that I cover. If you haven't watched it, please watch it. It's really easy to watch the first season. I think you'll love it. It's not silly or it's not like Scream Queens, if some of you guys didn't like that, because it's actually more serious. But I loved it. So thank you guys again for being here, for being part of the Kelly TV family, and I will see you tomorrow with my new video. Bye, guys.